And here we are on page 2 of the empirical rule. So first thing we're going to talk about is something called a z-score. We use z-scores because not every group of data that follows a normal curve has the same mean and the standard deviation. Good example, taking tests to get into college. You can take the ACT or you can take the SAT. Well, they're scored completely differently, which means we need to be able to compare them and see how well did someone do. If one person took the SAT and one person took the ACT, who actually scored better? So one way to do that is to switch everything using the z-score. And the z-score tells you how far above or below the mean a number is. So it doesn't matter if there's different means, it's the how well did you score in comparison to the mean. Okay, so example, what is the z-score for an IQ of 120? And explain it. So using this formula, x minus mu divided by sigma. So x is the data value, mu is the given mean, sigma is the given standard deviation. So 120 minus 100 divided by 15 is approximately 1.33. So this means this person is 1.33 standard deviations above the mean. So they have a fairly high IQ. Okay. So B, a z-score for an IQ of 93. So 93 minus 100 divided by 15 is negative 0.47. So this would be 0.47 standard deviations below the mean, which is in the complete normal range. It's less than one standard deviation away, and remember 68% of the population is within one standard deviation. So this is a completely normal IQ score. All right, so then moving on to a percentile is what percent of the population is below that score. And a lot of you are used to that when you get the state tests back and they tell you you scored in the 90th percentile, the 80th percentile. So that tells you that you scored better than 90% of the population or better than 80% of the population. Which is why I think the government is hysterical, because they said they wanted everybody scoring in the 50th percentile, which makes no sense because if everybody's in the 50th percentile, no one's below them. And if no one's below them, they're not in the 50th percentile. Lovely government politics. Okay, so it's the number with that percent of the population below it. All right, so example, someone with an IQ of 115 is in what percentile? So 115 right here, 100's in the middle, so that's the halfway mark. So I just said 50% plus 34%, that would be the 84th percentile. So 84% of the population would be below that. Okay, so an IQ of 100 is what percentile? Well, that's right in the middle. That's half below and half above, so that is the 50th percentile. Okay, so an IQ of blank is the 97.5th percentile. So that means 97.5% below, 2.5% above. So that means this little area is above and the rest of this is below. So if you go back and look on page 1, that right there was 130. Okay. And D, an IQ of blank is the 16th percentile. Well, if we come down here and start adding those three numbers together, they add up to 16. And if you look on the previous page, that number right there was an 85. So 85 represents the 16th percentile. And that finishes up page 2 of the empirical rule. We only have one set of notes left. Woohoo!